This is a great, bizarre, wacky story. It's a horrible story. And we don't have enough beds. First of all, nationwide, there's not enough beds for the mentally ill. The hospitals have become the dumping grounds for the mentally ill. I think we recognize that. So this is a story I grabbed from last night. Here, again, we have issues. We're pretty, we're not the smallest state, but we need more than 6 beds. If we have people that are in jail who are unfit to stand trial, but they can't stay in jail, so we're just like, well, let's let them out. We can't have that. We saw what happened. By the way, I like the way the story starts because you can hear the bitterness in the anchor's voice over where his co-anchor is.
No doubt it is a tragic murder that changed Tennessee law. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Rory Johnston. Carrie continues her Iceland assignment.
Freaking Carrie gets to go to Iceland. I'm stuck here talking about stuff like this.
You know, many of us remember the sad story when Belmont University student Jillian Ludwig was shot and killed. It was nearly 2 years ago now. She was hit by a stray bullet while walking near the university, specifically at the Edge Hill Community Memorial Gardens Park. The man police arrested had a long criminal history, but had been released after being found not competent to stand trial.
Now, in most cases I've ever seen, when somebody's not competent to stand trial because they've done something, it doesn't mean just turn them loose, which is what happened. I mean, I think L.A. County Jail is the largest mental facility in the country. They have nowhere to stick some of these people, and they're not mentally well. They're not there to get better. It's just to cage them in.
Last year, lawmakers passed Jillian's law, and that was to make sure people get treatment. But after detailed reporting from News Channel 5 Investigates Ben Hill, now, Ben, they're making changes, right?
Well, that's right. Lawmakers want more treatment beds for people with intellectual disabilities. It comes after judges told us more beds are desperately needed.
And more beds, I thought, okay, cool. So, like, what are you talking about? You know, we need 100 beds? How many beds we need? 200 beds? 12? We're going to double it? From 6?
I always appreciate it when you all or any other professional media member out there is looking into the bills that we pass.
State Representative William Lamberth sponsored Jillian's Law last year. It was named for Belmont University student Jillian Ludwig, who police say was shot and killed by Shaquille Taylor while she was walking in a park. Taylor had a long criminal history, including shooting into a moving car, but he had been released after being found not competent to stand trial. He was intellectually disabled and functioned at the level of a kindergartner.
That is, I mean, you know, like, you ever watch horror movies like say, Friday the 13th? Like, you think that's somebody who'd function as a kindergarten. It's crazy. Doesn't understand if that was real. You're functioning at the level. I have a 6-year-old who functions a little bit higher than that, but still, as an adult, think about having an adult like that. I've got my 2 little brothers who are both, they're on few brothers who are on the spectrum. One of them obviously can't walk or talk, but the other 2, they're well past this. This is a grown man who has a propensions for violence, who functions as a kindergartner, who probably has no idea the difference between right and wrong. And it's not if, but when they do something. The only way they're ever going to be housed and taken care of and off the streets is when they finally do something where you have to take them off the streets forever.
Jillian's law required that incompetent people get treatment instead of simply being released back to the streets. In this past year, has Davidson County had somebody with an intellectual disability that needed to go somewhere and there wasn't a bed? Has that happened?
Yes.
And so what happened?
Multiple times.
Multiple times?
Yes.
But early this year, Davidson County Judge Melissa Blackburn told News Channel 5 Investigates that Jillian's law did not provide enough treatment beds.
We've run across 4 to 6 individuals that have intellectual disabilities, and there's no place for them to go.
That highlighted issues that we were already asking questions about, but it just brought that to the surface.
Lambert said after our report, he started looking at increasing treatment beds. He said the Tennessee Department of Disability and Aging just needed authorization to use current funding to double the number of beds from 6 to 12.
6 to 12. How many of you out there really believe that there's only 12 people who are mentally not all there. I see at least a few, 3 or 4 people a day. Now, I don't think they're violent, but you can look and say, that person is not there. They're not mentally, they're incapable. If you gave them, it's always the argument like, well, if they had housing, right? Because that's always because if you gave a lot of these people a house, you put them in the house, you put food in the house, and you thought they're going to be okay, they wouldn't even be there in many cases by the end of the evening. They're not there. Something needs to be done. But it's a crime itself to have just 6 beds. And then you have to go, well, we have to get some sort of, we got to go get paperwork done. It's 6 beds.
And we have provided tax dollars, your money, to be able to go to those beds. And so when we hear from the department that they just need authorization to use that money to expand, then it's important that they do so.
But as we reported, finding staff for new treatment beds is not easy. The department could not even staff the 6 beds it had last year. In January, 1 bed sat empty because it was not staffed.
These are folks that are dangerous. These are folks that are accused of some very heinous crimes. They do not need to be out just wandering the streets.
Lambert said that can't happen when there's a waiting list for those beds. He believes the department will find staffing, but he will be watching to make sure it happens.
Well, so long as we continue to keep an eye on it and y'all continue to keep an eye on them, I am confident that they will expand those beds.
And that whole thing with this is not one of those things where you hire somebody who's just going to babysit like that. Like,